Hello friends, Heidi here from Rain Country. God is good all the time, and I'm here today to show you how easy it is to make your own Italian dressing in whatever combination you want to use to give it the flavor you want. Super simple, and one of the things I love about Italian dressing is it is so easy to make and easy to customize. Now, it's my personal favorite salad dressing, but Patrick's is ranch dressing, and I do have an old video recipe out on that from start to finish, even from making the mayonnaise for the base and then making the ranch dressing. However, I have a newer mayonnaise video that I'll also link down below, because now I use a blend of coconut oil and avocado oil when I make the mayonnaise. And that is also super easy. So don't forget to check out those links after this video is over. So I'm going to show you some of the different options you can use according to what you have on hand or what you prefer. Today I'm going to be using some organic extra virgin olive oil. It's one of the few things I like olive oil, but I don't use it as much as I do avocado oil. But when we're talking an Italian salad dressing, or anything Italian for that matter, that I'm going to use oil in, olive oil is my favorite to go with. So that's what I'll be using today. But a couple other options would be an almond oil like I have here, or even an avocado oil, also an excellent choice. With that in mind, let me go ahead and measure out the olive oil I'll be using, which when you're talking about an oil vinegar type dressing, and it can be simply oil and vinegar, you're going to do 3 parts oil to 1 part vinegar. In this case, since I'm going to make a whole cup of this just to have extra on hand, I'm going to do 3/4 cups of the oil to 1/4 cup of vinegar. So that's 3 parts to 1 part. So I'm going to fill this up to 3/4 cups, and I know that sounds like a lot of oil, but you can also mix that up. You can actually increase the vinegar ratio if you'd prefer. But remember, if you're talking about a good organic olive oil, it is so healthy for you. It's a good healthy fat. And then the vinegar, so I'm using homemade vinegar. When I'm talking food especially, I only use my own homemade vinegar. And this is the great thing. If you're already making vinegars that are, especially ones that are made from garlic and oregano like I've done, and they smell wonderful, but that one I've actually dedicated to my chickens. It's what I put in my chicken water, or something made from rosemary or sage, or anything with a nice savory type herb like that, then you can use that as your base. Now, I'm not actually sure which vinegar this is. I think it's actually a conglomeration of different vinegars like apple, pear, pineapple, whatever. And it's a good one though. It's very strong. However, since this one just got finished, which is why it's not bottled up for use here in the kitchen. I bottle them up like this when I'm using them in the kitchen. But for storage, I keep them in half-gallon jars with a nice tight-fitting lid. And even though these ball lids are supposed to be leak-proof, I still add a silicone ring in there because you want it very, very airtight when you're storing your homemade vinegars. Otherwise, they will turn to water in storage if you don't keep the oxygen out. But anyway, because this is rosemary and nasturtium, and it has this nice rosemary aroma to it, I am going to use that. So top that off to 1 cup, and I've got, actually went a little bit more than that, and I did it on purpose. And so now I've got my vinegar. So there's my 3 parts to 1 part. I'm going to go ahead and pour that into my jar. So the only reason I used the measuring cup was to get those proper measurements. But again, you can increase your vinegar ratio. Try tasting it after it's blended well and see what you think. And now, of course, we're basically talking oil and water here, and oil and water don't mix, which is why whenever you're using an Italian dressing, you always, always, always shake it very well first, and shake it between every use. It has to be shaken quite a bit. And here I've got a small silicone spatula so I can scrape all the rest of that oil out of there. Don't want to waste any of that goodness. And the nice thing about doing this in mason jars, you can just keep it mixed up and you can store it wherever. You can store it in your fridge, but considering it's oil and vinegar, it doesn't really need to be stored in the fridge. You can store this in your cabinet if you prefer. Now to that, you've got options for herbs and spices to add. If you don't have to add anything. You can just go oil and vinegar. But what I always like to add for certain is garlic. Lots of garlic. So I'm going to go with about a teaspoon of garlic, granulated garlic. So in this case, I do like to use dried goods when I'm talking about the herbs and spices I'm putting in the dressing itself, rather than fresh. I'm going to use some oregano. This is all, the oregano here is all from my own garden. And I'm just going to take a pinch and really crumble that up well. I still have sometimes little stems. I'm going to add another pinch to that. This is how I do recipes, which is why I started doing YouTube, because I don't usually use any kind of real measurements. Now, even though I've got the rosemary vinegar in there, I'm still going to add just a little bit of my homegrown rosemary, just one little, yeah, maybe just another tiny pinch. Don't want to get too much rosemary, well, because it is pretty strong. It's a strong herb. And then I love using red pepper flakes. And obviously, because they're spicy, how much you use is going to be up to you. You can use a pinch. This looks to me like not quite a teaspoon, maybe about a half teaspoon. We'll try that. And you can always taste it. And then, you know, it's always best when you're adding your herbs and spices and you're just making it up as you go, like I always do. It's always best to start small and then work up. Taste it and see what you think. If you feel like it needs more, add a little bit more. And to 1 cup of that, let's do about, maybe a half teaspoon. That's probably closer to 1/3 of a teaspoon of salt. I don't want to get too much in there. And let's shake that up. So I'm going to put the lid on tight and then shake it really well. And really, that's all you got to do. And what I highly recommend is that when you're making your salad dressing like this, make it early in the day, hours before you're going to use it, because you want to give those dried herbs time to really infuse into the oil and vinegar. And I do recommend shaking it here and there. Leave it on the counter where you can see it every time you walk by, pick it up and shake it so those can really infuse. And then, you know, after an hour or so, go ahead and taste it. See if you want to add any more of the same herbs, or maybe try adding some more. So here are some other examples, like golden oregano, I absolutely love. And it has a much more mild flavor than your like Mediterranean type oregano, which is pretty strong. But it also tends to blend better with herbs like thyme, which is another option, or sage, another great option. So usually if I'm using thyme and sage in something, I'm going to use golden oregano with those. So whatever the meal is. And then another one that I tend to like to add is black pepper, but since I've already got the red pepper in there, I'm just going to keep it red pepper. And here's another idea, is using turmeric or even moringa powder. Put a little bit of that in there. Maybe not so much for flavor, but just for the added medicinal benefits. And then I just realized one of the things I forgot, this isn't actually used for herb or spice, is my mixed greens blend, which I think I'm gonna have to change the name, because if you look closely, not everything in there is green, because I decided this year to dry up a lot of my daylily flowers and then put them into my mixed greens blend. And the reason I'm going to go ahead and put some of that in there is because, well, I try to get it into everything I make, be it a sauce, a soup, casserole, even meatballs and meatloaf, anything like that. I'll mix it right in with the meat mixture. So let me go ahead and shake that again. And those, again, is just more for the added nutrients that are in those, because I've got all kinds of great stuff in here. And I'll link to my video on my mixed greens blend, the last one I did. But in that one, I wasn't adding the daylily flowers, but again, that's an option you can put in there. So again, just allow it, just shake it and allow it to sit, you know, for the rest of the day, shaking it periodically. And then the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to put the oil in here for use, because this will be easier to pour from. And what these are, recycled Fever Tree soda bottles. So in fact, that was the main reason why I bought these, because I fell in love with these bottles. And then just bought some tapered corks, and these corks will fit into many things. If I can remember the size number, I'll put it, or I'll just link to these particular corks down below, because these will fit in standard wine bottles. They'll fit in the oil bottles like this. They'll fit in these bottles. They'll fit in recycled beer bottles, just about anything. They're a great size, and because they're tapered, they can fit. That's one of the reasons why they'll fit into so many different things. So a bottle like this, or anything you have that's that size, is a perfect thing. If you don't especially have, let me shake this up again before I pour it in there, because I think I have more than what's in that will fit in there. if you don't have those special salad dressing bottles, which I had one and then I hated it, so this is just one of the things you can use. Now there's my Italian salad dressing, and it is the olive oil that mostly gives it that color right there. But also some of the other herbs are going to contribute to that. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to end up pouring this back into this jar so that I can continue to shake it easily enough in there. But also, if I want to add more herbs and spices in there, I'm going to need it back in that jar before I do that, because it's going to be a lot easier to blend in there and shake because of the size of this. I just wanted to show you this as an option. And then of course you can see the goodies settling on the bottom. And then the reason I'm doing this is because I still have a lot of cucumbers coming in at the time of shooting this video. They're actually finally starting to slow down. This video is being shot early October. I think it's October 10th today, actually, or 9th. And so I've got, right here, I've got a cucumber salad. So cucumber salad is one way you can use up your cucumbers, especially if your lettuces are all done, but you still have cucumbers coming in. Make a nice healthy cucumber salad, but I like to make it in this and I can just stick it in the fridge. But I've got borage flowers. I got a couple of pansy flowers that were left. There's the last two, so I put them in there. Lots of nasturtium flowers as well, plus some red onions. And when it comes to this kind of salad, I do prefer using an Italian dressing with my cucumber salad. So that was the main reason I'm making the Italian dressing in the first place. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed my video on how to make an Italian dressing. And there's so many other herbs and spices you can consider adding that I didn't even mention. So just be creative with what you have. It's super simple. And again, start small with your herbs and spices. Taste it as you go. See if you want to add more, or simply add other herbs and spices that you think sound good. Oh, and please share your ideas down below. What are your favorite types of oils and vinegars and spices to use in making an Italian dressing, so other people can learn from you as well. And thanks for watching. Take care and God bless.